Hi, everybody, and Happy New Year. I'm Judy the YouTube Lawyer. Today will be a short live stream just to touch on a couple of in my opinion, the most wackiest lawsuits of the year. So the first one that I'd like to mention to you all has to do with Velveeta shells and cheese. So I'm not sure how many people out there have already heard about this case, but it was actually just filed within the last couple of months. This is down in Florida, and it is being framed as a class action lawsuit against Kraft Heinz Foods Company. So in this case, there's a woman named Amanda Ramirez. And when I looked her up on the court um, Pacer website, looks like she was also the lead plaintiff in another class action lawsuit also filed down in Florida within a couple of months of this lawsuit. So in the first lawsuit, I'm assuming it's the same person with the same name, Amanda Ramirez, but she was the lead plaintiff in a different class action lawsuit against an online jewelry retailer that had been sending texts or making a bunch of phone calls to people. And so Ms. Ramirez felt that she was being harassed by this company and that they were violating laws, contacting her. So that class action lawsuit was filed by a different couple of attorneys, and it settled within 3 months. So who knows how it settled? Usually settlements are confidential, but it kind of looks like this person, if it is the same person, she is constantly shopping around, or maybe she's friends with a bunch of attorneys, and they're always cooking up ideas on new class action lawsuits to go after, and hopefully there will be a big pot of money. It's usually the lawyers that make the bulk of the money because they could potentially get a lot of attorney's fees. And as most of us know, once you're in some sort of consumer class action lawsuit, it could be years before maybe you get a check for like $7. So the individual consumers usually don't really win, but the lawyers make out like bandits. So let's take a quick look at this. And thank you guys for being out there. It's nice to see some familiar names or faces out there tuning into this channel. And I was also thinking that I really appreciate everybody's support, because I think at the beginning of this year, I had probably less than 3,000 subscribers. So I've more than doubled the number of subscribers this year, partly due to the success of the Dan Horkel, Charlie Adelson case coverage. It seems like tons and tons of people are really interested in that. So that's why I've been focusing a lot more on those types of cases, as well as other criminal cases in the news, as opposed to the standard legal profession stuff, which I think is too much of a niche market or niche topic that not as many people are interested in. So let's take a look at this lawsuit here. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's actually, it would probably be too boring to read the whole entire thing. But this lady claims that, oh my God, I bought this Velveeta shells and cheese, and it said it was going to be ready in 3.5 minutes. And if I had known it was going to take longer, I wouldn't have bought it. So, So this is something I've definitely bought in the past. It's not anything that is a staple of my diet, but it tastes okay, and it really is fast. I never thought about how, it actually takes more than 3.5 minutes, because you still have to open the package, and you have to take out the little packet, and then you have to add water, and then you have to put it in microwave. And then even after you microwave it for 3.5 minutes, you still have to, stir it up and wait for a while for it to congeal and be ready to eat. So the plaintiff or her attorneys are saying the statement of ready in 3.5 minutes is false and misleading, because the product takes longer than 3.5 minutes to prepare for consumption. So there are 4 steps in preparing this, and isn't it kind of wacky that they included images of this product into the complaint, but it shows up on the PDF. Yeah, so this seems really, really hokey and excessive, and in a world where we are dealing with a lot of much bigger problems, war in Ukraine, school shootings, violence, road rage. There's just like so many issues going on in this country that when I first heard about this, I was thinking this is ridiculous, but who knows what will happen with this case. So they want to make it into a class action because it's available to pretty much tons and tons of people. Anybody can buy it at grocery stores and online. So it claims that she bought the product at a Publix in Hialeah, Florida, between October and November. She thought it was going to take 3.5 minutes to make. She relied on the words, terms, coloring, descriptions, layout, placement, packaging, and/or images on the product, labeling statements, omissions, claims made by the defendant. She paid more for the product than she would have paid and would not have purchased it or paid less had she known the truth. Plaintiff seeks to, and will purchase the product again when she can do so with the assurance its representations are consistent with its abilities, attributes, and/or composition. So this is a bunch of legalese about why it should be a class action. Florida Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act, violation of state consumer fraud acts, false and misleading advertising, breaches of express warranty, implied warranty. So let's take a look at the attorneys representing her. Oh, and of course, fraud, unjust enrichment. Okay, the main attorney is someone named William Wright, whose office, Wright Law office, is in West Palm Beach. And then there's also another attorney, Spencer Sheehan, from Great Neck, New York. So that's kind of interesting. Makes you wonder, maybe Sheehan has a lot more experience doing class action cases, because usually you just have one law firm representing a plaintiff in any sort of lawsuit. But the funny thing is that looking up the history of this recently filed lawsuit, you can see that the court actually sent a kind of snippy letter to that attorney in New York and reminded him that he's not licensed in Florida. So he needs to fill out some paperwork and needs to pay some money to the court, like a $200 fee, so he can be admitted pro hoc vice. Yeah, so this is showing up on the screen here. It says, "Dear Mr. Sheehan, as you know, your name appears on the service list of a document filed with this court in the case, blabby blab. Our records, however, indicate you are not a member of the Southern District of Florida Bar." So they're just kind of reminding this attorney from Great Neck, New York, that he has to jump through some hoops, and he still has to go through local counsel, which is the attorney in Florida, to electronically file and serve everything. So anyway, I guess to most lay people, this part is not that interesting, but the case has not been dismissed because it's really hard to get a lawsuit dismissed, because a motion to dismiss is basically saying that on its face, the complaint just fails to state a claim upon which relief can be granted, that you're missing all of these legally relevant facts. So it's more likely that the case could be disposed of potentially through a motion for summary judgment as opposed to a motion to dismiss. So the case is still pending right now. Yeah. So, okay. Well, thank you guys for being here. I know it's kind of a weird time to have a live stream, so this isn't going to take too long, so we can all get back to our partying and fireworks and stuff. Happy New Year. Thank you, Dragon Man. Thank you, Tony, for being here from New Mexico. Tony, the other Tony, thanks for being here. Thank you, 5Car5. It's great to see people from so many different places. I know several people that filed for disability and got it, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with them, and that really makes me mad. Yeah, you have to look at every case individually. So if you're talking about Social Security disability, yeah, usually the bar is pretty high for that. It depends on whether they have lots of medical proof that the person is disabled and not able to do any sort of substantial gainful activity. So yeah, maybe they knew how to work the system or say the right things to their doctors, or maybe it's something mental where they might outwardly look physically capable, but maybe they have mental problems that interfere with their ability to work. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just guessing. Yeah, but there is some way that if you suspect fraud, there is some sort of toll-free number. I've looked it up a long time ago through the Social Security Administration website, ssa.gov, where you can report people who are committing fraud on the system. So if you feel very strongly about certain people that in your opinion are not really disabled but trying to get or have gotten Social Security disability, then go for it. Call that toll-free number and report them. So just some sort of public service announcement out there. Yeah, make sure the judge isn't into craft. Yeah, exactly. I think pretty much everybody in the whole country has eaten something made by Kraft Heinz Company, right? Because they make tons of other products. So they definitely would not want me on the jury. Yeah, hi, nature lover. Thank you. Thanks, JPJ. Okay, 5car5 says, I worked for a large bread company. Wow. People were always saying they found items in the bread slices and sued just to get money. Yeah, it's just awful when there are some sort of unscrupulous people or shady people that just see big dollar signs and they think they're going to make some sort of claim. But I mean, it definitely gets taken more seriously if the person has an attorney. Sometimes the cases do settle confidentially. Other times, if the company wants to fight the whole way to prove a point and make sure that people don't all get the same idea, sometimes that happens too. So who knows what will happen with this case, but I'll definitely be following it to see what's going on. Yeah, feel way too guilty if I did that. LOL. Unhappy New Year to Katie, Charlie, Donna, Harvey, Lewis, and Garcia. Yeah, yeah, unhappy New Year. Yeah, I wonder if the jail does anything special for the inmates for the holiday season or for the new year. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for being here, Laser Wolf. Oh, thank you for the super sticker, Dragon Man. I appreciate it. Here's hoping the Markells have a great 2023. Yeah, I mean, here I was a couple of months ago predicting that somebody was going to get arrested by the end of the year. And so that hasn't happened yet, although, it could still very well happen. I think it's just taken longer to get all the information from Katie's proffer and maybe have multiple meetings with her and her attorney. And who knows, maybe they're trying to see if Sigfredo is going to also spill the beans and give more information at this point. So I'm still optimistic about the case. Yeah, thank you, Observation Station. Yeah, you won't see me going out to watch that acorn dropping. I mean, do they still do that in downtown Raleigh, the acorn drop? No thanks. I mean, it's been raining all day here, off and on. Yeah, my resolution is to work out more. Yeah, okay, good luck. Yeah, I hope to be exercising more this year also. Yeah, different ballgame when you are self-employed. Yeah. Yeah, if you're talking about, like, people filing lawsuits against you, yeah, it's really tough. That's why a lot of businesses have insurance to protect themselves or at least defend themselves if there are these kind of lawsuits filed against them. Yeah, toilet booze. Yeah, so that's what they have in jail to celebrate. Yeah, I see. Okay, so they still have the acorn drop. Okay, so this next one, the next lawsuit that I wanted to mention, it might be a bit controversial. Um, let's see. Oh, by the way, I did also want to go ahead and share the website to that class action attorney, just in case somebody out there is looking for an attorney that might want to file some great class action lawsuit idea that you might have. So the Right Law Office, it's called rightlawoffice.com. Says he specializes in the nationwide prosecution of claims to recover damages for investors and consumers and is committed to correcting corporate wrongdoing. Okay, so he has over 20 years of experience prosecuting cases for investors and consumers. Before, he worked at NASA and served as associate in-house counsel with the United Space Alliance. Huh, interesting. Okay. Okay, investment losses, shareholder derivative actions. So he went to University of Central Florida, which is also where Charlie Adelson and Katie Magbanua graduated. And then he went to University of San Diego School of Law. And he's admitted in Florida and Texas. He's also a dojo martial arts self-defense instructor. Okay, sounds like a pretty high achieving type of person. Okay, office is in West Palm Beach. Okay, so I did a little publicity for that attorney's law firm there. Although I still feel like the lawsuit seems really hokey to me. Okay, so next thing I want to mention, and you guys feel free to jump in if you have any comments here, because, you know, sometimes I get kind of critical or just flat out mean and rude comments after my live stream shows where people disagree with me. But, you know, if somebody wants to speak in a civil manner, I totally welcome other diverse, you know, viewpoints, people that might not agree with stuff that I say. So there I am being an equal opportunity YouTube host, and there is a link if you want to join in and get on your soapbox or, you know, argue a different way if you don't think some of this stuff is wacky or stupid or whatever. So I'm showing the link in the chat box if anybody actually wants to join in. So next one, I was going to originally name this live stream the dumbest lawsuits of the year, but then the more I thought about this, I thought, well, people will probably get offended if I called this. It's not really a dumb lawsuit, but I would say it's a very controversial lawsuit. This is the one where the 18-year-old girl is now suing the doctors. Actually, that's a different lawsuit. Sorry. When I was searching for the case, I saw that there was actually another similar lawsuit just filed this month. Both were filed by women who back then wanted to be men. So they wanted to transition and went to different doctors or psychiatrists and stuff, and then decided, well, I'm going to transition to be a man because I feel like I am really a man. So after the surgery, years later, both of these women, they now considered themselves women, then had a change of heart and felt like, oh no, now I have no breasts, and why did the doctors do that to me? I'm going to sue them. They never should have allowed this to happen in the first place. So, but I do feel sorry for this 18-year-old girl, or shall we say young woman. So she had her transitioning surgery when she was a teenager, but it sounds like she was probably suicidal or on the verge of suicide, threatening suicide or whatever, and her parents were totally at a loss and stressed out. And I'm just assuming that the child basically said that, you know, she had to be a boy or had to be a man, had to have this surgery, or else, you know, they were going to kill themselves. So the person is Chloe Cole, 18-year-old woman who is suing the doctors she claims coerced her into harmful gender transition procedures in the name of affirmation when she was just a child. And there's a group called the Center for American Liberty that is suing on her behalf. It says several doctors and medical groups in California. So this lawsuit just got filed in November. Yeah, so it was in the news. It's been in the national news a bit. So it says the founder and the CEO of the Center for American Liberty, Harmeet Dillon, is representing Chloe Cole, along with another attorney named Charles S. Lee Mandry. So you can see here, she was on Fox News. Cole began suffering from gender dysphoria at just 9 years old. She told Fox News host Tucker Carlson that doctors began urging her to transition when she was 12. By 13, she was fully immersed in the transition to manhood. Between 13 and 17, Cole began taking puberty-blocking drugs, received off-label sex hormone treatments, and received a double mastectomy, in which both of her breasts were completely removed. Now a legal adult, Cole laments, I'll never be able to breastfeed whatever children I will have. I don't even know if, because I was put on puberty blockers and testosterone at only 13 years old, I don't know if I'll be able to conceive a child naturally. I made an adult decision as a child. So, okay, let's see if it looks like this article did not get any sort of statement from the doctors or medical groups that were sued. So I don't know how you guys feel about this. I mean, is this yeah, I mean, I feel like, this is definitely not a dumb lawsuit. It could be a very controversial lawsuit where, um, ultimately it was the girl's parents that gave approval to having this kind of surgery. But I remember reading in a different article that I think the plaintiff was claiming that the parents were coerced because the doctors had allegedly said that, well, if you don't do this, then you're going to have a dead child. So, yeah, very controversial, but, my bias, of course, is coming from a family of a lot of doctors that, how's the doctor supposed to know if the person is going to change their mind after, say, like 5 years? Um, like, is it really something wrong for doctors to follow the instruction of the patient or the patient's parents and do this kind of life-altering surgery? And then later, should the doctor face the wrath of someone who then, second guesses or has deep regrets about getting this type of surgery? So I don't know. I feel like it can kind of open a door to tons and tons of more litigation from people who have regrets about getting certain types of not just gender transitioning surgeries, but also any sort of cosmetic surgery. It could be a bad precedent. So let's see here. There's also another lawsuit, which I just found out about when I was doing some research about the Chloe Cole lawsuit. And this has to do with a older person, a 32-year-old woman. So this is a picture of a different person, Camille Kiefel. She is suing the medical team that approved the gender-neutral top surgery in 2020 that left her with painful complications. So she says, sometimes in the shower, I realize they're gone. I just have these scars. Camille Kiefel had her healthy breasts removed in 2020 to align with her non-binary gender identity. She says her doctors approved the surgery after 2 Zoom meetings, breezing past a whole host of mental health issues. Now that Camille is in a better place mentally, she realizes her surgery was a mistake. So 2.5 years later, she's suing her social worker, therapist, and the gender clinics they work for, Brave Space Oregon and Quest Center for Integrative Health, seeking up to $850,000 in damages. As a child, she never gave her gender identity a thought, but when her best friend was, and I can't say this because my live stream could get shut down, was assaulted by a relative in 6th grade, she said she became acutely aware of her femininity. Okay, so this is her when I guess she wanted to look more male. Okay, she identified as non-binary following coursework in gender studies at Portland State University. Okay, she started dressing more androgynously after her father kind of warned her about how men talked about girls. She said she didn't want to highlight her curves. She had a lot of discomfort about her physical attributes. So these are a bunch of different pictures of her when she was younger. Okay, so at Portland State University, she minored in gender studies and was introduced to alternative views about blank and blank and gender. Okay, so once again, YouTube will flag certain hot topics or controversial things. So there are certain words that I probably can't say on this live stream. So this must be her when, okay, right before her surgery a little over 2 years ago. She got a referral to a major gender clinic in Oregon where she talked to doctors via Zoom twice, once in May, once in July, each time for about an hour. And that was all it took. She said she never saw anyone in person before she had her breast removed on August 28th. There's a picture of that center, Quest Center. And she's had all these complications like trouble swallowing, scopolamine poisoning from a patch on the back of her ear meant to treat nausea, which caused her pupils to dilate for months post-surgery. Okay, she said after she developed those complications, she noticed the doctor stopped taking her seriously and she was on her own. She said after the doctors took the bandages off, she had mixed feelings. Once she got her mental and physical health in order, she once again identifies as female and sees the situation from a more stable viewpoint. Okay, so this is a picture of someone else, someone named Kira Bell, who also detransitioned. Kira Bell is British, and she has sued the center that performed her medical transition. Okay, so this looks like another person who detransitioned. Okay. So Camille is being represented by Jackson Bone LLP in her legal battle in Oregon State Court, and it's being supported by the feminist organization Women's Liberation Front. She hopes that taking the case to court will prevent history from repeating itself. Many people who should not be getting these surgeries are getting these surgeries, she said. There are underlying health issues that are being overlooked. People like myself are slipping through the cracks. Okay, so yeah, so these articles, they don't tell the side of the story of the doctors or the healthcare professionals that are being sued, but usually, when they're first just served with a lawsuit, a lot of defendants stay quiet and they don't want to issue any sort of statements until more discovery is had, or maybe the attorneys are just scrambling around trying to figure out who's involved with the case and talk to all the key players and stuff. So it is kind of, definitely biased at first when a plaintiff runs to the media right after they file a lawsuit and tells their side of the story. So we don't know the defendant's side of the story or how they're going to defend themselves. Yeah. So let me see here. Okay. Yeah, thank you guys for for the super stickers here. I'm seeing it now. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Some people are saying we're not going out. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it's very dangerous to be out at night on New Year's Eve. So let's just stay home and stay safe, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your super sticker, also, Kay. Appreciate it. Okay. You're waiting on the Georgia Ohio State game. Okay. Yes, it did go through. Thank you, Kay. I really appreciate your support. What's an amicus brief? Sometimes ACLU or state government AG will chime in. Yeah, so it's just basically an optional brief that is just turned in by some attorney or attorneys who are not actually representing either party, but they feel like they want to be heard and it is allowed. So the judge will also take a look at amicus briefs. But most of the time, the ruling is chiefly based on the arguments of the actual attorneys representing the plaintiff and the defendant. So sometimes law professors write amicus briefs also. So it's just kind of like a supporting extra document from somebody or a group that really feels like they have a stake also in the outcome of the case, and they also want to be heard by the judge. So yeah. Okay, thanks again, Kay. Yeah, so Dragonman says, I support this lawsuit because a child was involved. Yeah, I mean, it does make you feel a lot more. I mean, to me, I feel like I could potentially, think more favorably in terms of the first lawsuit mentioned involving Chloe, since she was so young. And I don't know. I mean, I still feel like ultimately it was her parents that must have signed off on doing doing these kinds of medical treatments on her, though. Yeah. I don't think the surgery should be performed on minors. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty tough though. Like what if you were the parent and your child's like saying that they want to kill themselves or they have attempted suicide or they really want to transition or whatever. Yeah, it's a really tough, horrible situation. Yeah, if you have children who are having mental health issues. Yeah. Thank you, LJ. Thanks for being there. Children are being preyed on by, of all places, our public schools and tell students not to tell their parents. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, in these cases, well, the second case I mentioned, that woman was an adult when she decided that she was going to have her surgery. But with the person who was maybe like between the ages of 13 and 17 when she did all the treatments. Yeah. I mean, it is pretty controversial. Yeah. Thank you, LJ. Yeah. Don't know about this one. Oh, okay. Hi, Ben and Kelly. Andrew Tate going away for a while. You think it's going to turn out okay? Well, I'm sorry, but there's been so many cases going on, including locally here in North Carolina, that I haven't really looked into the Andrew Tate case more recently. I was just doing more listening on information about the Ohio college student murders with the arrest of that guy, Brian, is it Kroberg? I'm sorry if I got his last name incorrect. Yeah, there are just too many cases to follow these days, civil as well as criminal. Yeah, yeah, definitely we'll see what happens with these lawsuits. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, JPJ. Do you remember that man in Canada who was continually suing all the beauticians and salons because they refused to wax his junk like a bikini wax? Ridiculous. Oh yeah, yeah. That's what a weirdo. Exactly. Yeah, he was probably like getting excited, thinking that he could go into some spa and have some young women, smearing the wax on him and stuff. Yeah, I haven't heard about that case though. See, there are just like too many wacky and weird lawsuits going on out there. I mean, not to criminal, wacky, weird criminal cases, and then you got wacky, weird civil cases too. Yeah. And I'm not sure what happened to cases in Canada too. Like, do they have class actions also in Canada? Probably. Yeah. Kids are being indoctrinated in the public schools. It's pretty scary. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Idaho case is a really big case. And maybe I'll do a separate live stream about that, although I don't have insider information and not like Surviving the Survivor that can miraculously get so many amazing guests and specialists. Yeah, that's what Charlie would like. Yeah, okay, you're talking about Charlie Adelson case. Yeah, we can't get away from that Charlie Adelson Dan Morkel case, right? So a lot of people just love discussing it and mulling over all these different things of what could have happened in the case and what's going to happen. So yeah, Charlie definitely did seem like a big perv, and I could just see him, going over to Asia or something, going to all those spas and doing who knows what, enjoying his bikini wax and stuff. So, not to mention being stomped on his back by certain people who are paid to massage him, right? So, okay. Well, anyway, so this is a pretty short live stream. Finally, a short one, not one that lasts like 2 hours or an hour and a half long. But I just want to wish everybody a happy new year and touch on a couple of odd lawsuit cases. And so maybe in another week or so, we'll do another one about different criminal cases and the Idaho College student massacre case, as well as back to the Charlie Adelson Dan Morkel case. So have a great 2023. And again, I really appreciate you guys out there supporting this channel and Kay, as well as the other person, Dragon Man, for your super stickers then. Okay, see you guys next year then. Have a good evening and stay safe out there.